Ambassador Zixtal stood before the High Council of the Unified Galaxies, his crystalline form reflecting the harsh lights of the Grand Chamber. His voice resonated with urgency as he addressed the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds. Your Excellencies, I come before you today not as a mere diplomat, but as someone who has spent the last 30 cycles studying what you call the primitive species of Sol 3. I must warn you, your planned subjugation of Earth would be the gravest mistake our civilization has made in 10,000 years. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. High Chancellor Ven, her bioelectric form pulsing with barely contained irritation, leaned forward. Ambassador, the decision has been made. These humans have rejected our subtle attempts at contact. They continue developing dangerous technologies without proper oversight. The invasion fleet departs in 3 rotations. Zixtal projected a hologram into the center of the chamber, scenes from Earth's history playing in rapid succession. Look at their progression. While we spent millennia carefully advancing our technology, they went from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary spaceflight in less than a century. Their rate of adaptation is unprecedented. All the more reason to contain them now, interrupted General Koss, his armored exoskeleton clicking as he gestured dismissively, before they become a real threat. You don't understand, Zixtal persisted. Their strength isn't in their current technology. It's in how they think, how they solve problems. The hologram shifted to show humans in various situations, scientists collaborating, soldiers adapting to impossible situations, engineers creating solutions from scarce resources. Most species advance linearly, building upon established principles. Humans think laterally. They combine ideas in ways that should not work, yet somehow do. They turn disadvantages into advantages. When faced with superior force, they don't surrender, they innovate. The High Chancellor's bioelectric patterns flickered with amusement. Ambassador, you speak of a species that still fights among themselves over resources and ideology. They can barely maintain unity on their own world. That's precisely what makes them dangerous, Zixtal countered. Their divisions drive competition, forcing rapid advancement. But when faced with an external threat, he paused, his crystalline form dimming slightly. They unite. Every conflict in their history shows this pattern. Internal strife vanishes when a greater threat appears. General Koss laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Our invasion fleet carries the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. Their primitive defenses will crumble in hours. Zixtal's next words cut through the chamber like a blade. You assume they don't know we're coming. Silence fell. The ambassador continued, his voice heavy with certainty. I studied their entertainment media, their literature, their military planning. For centuries, they'd been imagining and preparing for extraterrestrial contact. They've conceived of countless scenarios, including hostile ones. Even without proof of our existence, they've been planning for this moment. He approached the center of the chamber, his crystalline form now pulsing with urgent light. They call it science fiction, stories of possible futures and encounters. But what you dismiss as mere entertainment, they use as inspiration. Ideas from these stories have directly influenced their technological development. They don't just imagine, they build what they imagine. The High Chancellor's patience visibly thinned. You would have us delay based on their imaginary stories. I would have you understand what you're truly facing, Zixtal replied. A species that turns fiction into reality, that thrives on overcoming impossible odds, that unites strongest when threatened. Our invasion won't subjugate them, it will catalyze them. The chamber erupted in debate, but Zixtal could see in their reactions that few grasped the true gravity of his warning. As the council moved to reaffirm their invasion plans, he added one final, quiet observation. We pride ourselves on our superior technology, yet we're about to make the most primitive mistake of all, underestimating an opponent we don't understand. As he left the chamber, Zixtal knew his words had fallen on deaf ears. The invasion would proceed as planned. But he had done his duty. He had warned them. Now all he could do was watch as humanity showed the galaxy exactly why he had been right to fear not their weakness, but their strength. Fleet Commander Raxanor watched Earth grow larger on his command ship's view screen, its blue-white surface deceptively peaceful against the void of space. 3,000 ships of the unified galaxy's most powerful invasion fleet hung in high orbit, their crystalline hulls refracting starlight like artificial constellations. "Begin the standard contact protocol," he ordered, his tentacles flowing over the neural interface. "Let's show these primitives exactly what they're dealing with." Massive holographic projections materialized in Earth's skies, mile-wide images of the fleet's ships hovering over every major city. The sight had broken the will of countless civilizations before first contact even began. Raxanor allowed himself a moment of satisfaction as he imagined the panic spreading across the planet below. The satisfaction lasted exactly 8 seconds. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, mandibles clicking in confusion. "We're detecting anomalies." "Explain." "The humans. They're recording the projections, not running from them. They're taking images with their devices, sharing them globally. And sir, they're laughing." Raxanor's upper eyes blinked in sequence. Laughing. Their global information network is being flooded with references to their entertainment media. They're comparing our ships to something called Independence Day and making what appear to be jokes. Before Raxanor could process this unexpected reaction, his tactical officer interrupted. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures powering up across their planet's surface." "Impossible," Raxanor chittered. "Their power generation technology is primitive. They barely harness their suns." The rest of his sentence died as hundreds of ground-based energy weapons opened fire simultaneously. The beams weren't the crude nuclear-powered lasers their intelligence had indicated humans possessed. These were focused particles beams, technology that should have been centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. Multiple direct hits, the tactical officer shouted. "But, sir, they're not targeting our ships. They're targeting our hologram projectors." One by one, the massive images flickering above Earth's cities winked out. In their place, new holograms appeared, projected from the surface. They showed scenes from humanity's own history, armies defeating superior forces, innovations born from necessity, victory snatched from the jaws of defeat. "A message is being broadcast," the communications officer reported. "Audio only. All frequencies." A single human voice filled the command deck. "Thank you for the light show. Allow us to respond in kind." The energy signatures across Earth's surface changed frequency. Instead of weapons, they were now scanning beams, probing the fleet's defenses with a precision that suggested intimate knowledge of their systems. "Sir," the science officer's voice shook slightly. "These scans, they're not random. They're targeting specific vulnerabilities in our shield harmonics. Vulnerabilities that only someone who had studied our technology could know about." Raxanor's chromatic scales shifted to deep purple, a sign of growing concern. "How is this possible? We've never shared our technology. They've never even seen our—" "Sir," the tactical officer's chitin plates rattled in alarm. Multiple objects detected leaving Earth's atmosphere. They were hidden in what we thought were primitive satellites. Sleek vessels, clearly of human design, but incorporating elements of advanced technology, rose from Earth's orbit. They moved with an agility that should have been impossible for such a young species to achieve. "All ships, battle formations," Raxanor ordered, but even as he gave the command, he noticed something else. The humans weren't attacking. They were positioning their ships in a precise pattern around the invasion fleet. "Message from the surface," the communications officer reported. "Text only. Did you really think all those UFO sightings were accidents? We've been studying you for decades. Every crashed scout ship, every malfunctioning probe, we learned from them all. Now shall we discuss terms for a more equitable first contact?" Raxanor stared at the view screen, watching as more human ships emerged from hiding places throughout their solar system. He recalled Ambassador Zixtel's warning about underestimating this species, as his tactical display filled with evidence of humanity's hidden capabilities. He realized they hadn't been preparing for first contact. They'd been preparing for this exact moment, turning decades of observation and reverse engineering into a defensive capability that had caught the galaxy's most powerful fleet completely off guard. "Sir," his second-in-command ventured quietly, "should we commence the invasion?" Raxenor's scales shifted to the pale blue of resignation. "No," he replied. "I believe we just finished it, and we're not the winners." Deep within the Cheyenne Mountain complex, Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a wall of holographic displays, watching as the alien fleet hung motionless against the backdrop of stars. 20 years of preparation had led to this moment, and humanity's greatest secret was finally revealed. "Status report," she commanded, her voice carrying across the underground command center, where hundreds of Earth's brightest minds had worked in secret for decades. "All defense platforms are online," her deputy director reported. "The reverse-engineered shield technology is functioning perfectly. They still haven't detected our quantum entanglement communication network." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The aliens had no idea that their own crashed ships had provided the foundation for Earth's technological leap. Each accident had been carefully orchestrated, each piece of salvage technology studied and improved upon by scientists who approached the problems from angles the aliens had never considered. "Project Phoenix is ready for deployment," announced Colonel James Rodriguez, his weathered face illuminated by the screens. "All orbital platforms are in position." Sarah nodded, remembering the day 15 years ago, when they'd first cracked the aliens' shield technology. The breakthrough hadn't come from their physicists or engineers, but from a team of video game designers who approached the problem like a puzzle to be solved rather than a scientific challenge. "The Council of Nations is standing by," her diplomatic officer reported. "All military forces are synchronized and ready. The aliens still haven't detected the quantum bridges." Another innovation the aliens hadn't expected. Humanity had found a way to use their own faster-than-light principles to create short-range transportation networks throughout the solar system. The invasion fleet thought they were containing a planet-bound civilization. They had no idea Earth's influence already extended throughout their solar system. A new alert flashed across the main screen. "They're powering up weapons," the tactical officer announced. "Looks like they're done being diplomatic." "Right on schedule," Sarah replied calmly. "Initiate Operation Trojan Horse." Across the solar system, humanity's true defensive network activated. What the aliens had dismissed as primitive satellites and space debris transformed, revealing themselves as advanced weapon platforms and shield generators. But these weren't copies of alien technology. They were human innovations that had taken alien principles in entirely new directions. Multiple energy signatures detected from the alien fleet, the sensor officer reported. "They're launching their first strike." "Let them," Sarah commanded. "Show them exactly what we've learned from watching them." The alien fleet's energy weapons lashed out at Earth, only to encounter not the primitive defenses they expected, but a layered defense system unlike anything they'd ever encountered. Their beams scattered against quantum-shifted shields, while human countermeasures targeted vulnerabilities that only decades of careful study had revealed. "Phase 2, Sarah ordered. "Deploy the J-host units." Across Earth's orbit, thousands of small, stealthy craft activated. These weren't the brute force weapons the aliens expected. They were precise surgical instruments, designed to exploit specific weaknesses in alien technology. Each one carried weapon systems that approached combat from angles the aliens had never considered. "Ma'am," her tactical officer called out, "the alien fleet is attempting to regroup. They're trying to establish a defensive formation." "They still think this is a conventional battle," Sarah observed. "Show them why that's a mistake. Activate the gravity wells." Hidden installations on Mars and several asteroids powered up, creating localized distortions in spacetime that disrupted the aliens' ability to maneuver. it wasn't just technology that humanity had reinvented. They'd discovered entirely new applications for physical principles the aliens took for granted. Message from the alien flagship, communications reported. They're asking how we achieved this level of technology so quickly. Sarah stepped forward, her reflection ghosting across the command center screens. Send them our response. We didn't just study your technology. We reimagined it. Every piece of alien tech that fell to Earth showed us not just how you think, but how you don't think. Your blind spots became our opportunities. She watched as the alien fleet struggled against defenses they never imagined possible, trapped by humanity's hidden web of advanced technology. You see, she continued, her words transmitted to the alien command, while you were watching us, thinking we were just learning to crawl into space, we were actually learning how to run. And now it's time to show you just how far we can go. Across the solar system, humanity's full defensive network revealed itself. Weapons platforms emerged from hiding places in the asteroid belt. Shield generators activated around every major celestial body. A network of quantum-linked sensors came online, giving Earth's forces perfect tactical awareness of the entire battlefield. Final phase, Sarah commanded. Show them what happens when humanity decides to take the gloves off. The alien fleet was about to learn that humanity hadn't just prepared for invasion. They had revolutionized warfare itself, and the galaxy would never be the same. Fleet Commander Raxanor watched in horror as his mighty armada found itself caught in humanity's intricate trap. The tactical display before him showed thousands of red warning indicators as Earth's hidden defense network systematically dismantled his fleet's capabilities. Impossible, he muttered, his scales shifting through patterns of distress. Their technological level. This cannot be. Sir, his tactical officer's voice cracked with strain. They're not just using our technology. They're using variations we've never seen before. Their weapons, they're approaching combat from completely foreign angles. As if to emphasize this point, a wave of small human vessels darted through the fleet's formation. Instead of conventional weapons, they emitted fields that somehow inverted the principles behind the aliens' own shield technology. Where the two energies met, the alien shields simply ceased to exist. They're broadcasting again, the communications officer reported. A human voice, calm and precise, filled the command deck. Your shields operate on a principle of energy deflection. But did you ever consider what happens when you introduce a quantum phase shift that cancels out the underlying field harmonics? We did. It was actually a graduate student's thesis project. Raxanor's secondary hearts began beating faster as he realized the true extent of humanity's preparation. They hadn't just studied alien technology. They'd fundamentally reimagined it. Launch the autonomous combat units, he ordered desperately. Overwhelmed them with numbers. The fleet deployed thousands of robotic warriors, each one powered by artificial intelligence that had conquered dozens of worlds. But humanity had prepared for this too. From Earth's surface, a new type of signal emerged. The autonomous units suddenly stopped, their programming overwhelmed by what appeared to be computer viruses based on human video games. Sir, his cybersecurity officer reported in disbelief, they're using something called cheat codes to override our combat AI. The humans, they turned their entertainment software into weapons. A new wave of Earth vessels emerged from hiding places throughout the solar system. These were larger, clearly designed for heavy combat. But instead of conventional weapons, they carried devices that manipulated the very fabric of space-time. Gravitational distortions detected. The sensor officer shouted. They're creating localized space-time anomalies. The human voice returned. We noticed your ships rely on artificial gravity fields for stability. We wondered, what happens if you introduce controlled gravitational waves that resonate at exactly the wrong frequency? Raxanor watched as entire squadrons of his ships lost control, their internal systems thrown into chaos by gravitational fluctuations their designers had never considered possible. All ships, emergency retreat, he ordered. But even this basic maneuver proved impossible as humanity revealed yet another surprise. Quantum entanglement fields detected, his navigation officer reported. They're creating zones where faster-than-light travel is impossible. We're trapped in normal space. The human voice spoke again, now tinged with something that might have been pride. Did you think we wouldn't notice how your FTL drives work? We've been studying the quantum wake of your ships for decades. Every time you thought you were secretly observing Earth, we were learning exactly how you move through space. Across the solar system, humanity's trap closed tighter. Hidden installations on Mars, Venus, and throughout the asteroid belt activated, creating a web of overlapping fields that turned space itself against the alien fleet. "Sir," his second-in-command whispered, "we've lost contact with over 60% of the fleet. The humans, they're not just defeating us. They're revolutionizing warfare itself." Raxanor stared at the tactical display, watching as his mighty invasion force was systematically dismantled by innovations and strategies no alien mind had ever conceived. They had come expecting to find primitives. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, a species that didn't just adopt technology, but transformed it in ways its original creators never imagined. "Send the surrender signal," he ordered quietly, "before they show us any more of their improvements to our technology." As the command was given, Raxanor remembered Ambassador Zixtel's warning about humanity's unique way of thinking. They hadn't just prepared for invasion. They had spent decades turning their greatest weakness, their technological inferiority, into their greatest strength. The galaxy would never be the same after this day, and Raxanor had a sinking feeling that this was exactly what humanity had planned all along. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. Ambassador Zixtel stood at the center, his crystalline form reflecting the tense atmosphere as he addressed the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds. The defeat of their mighty invasion fleet had shaken the very foundations of galactic society. "You didn't listen," he began, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. "I warned you about humanity's potential, but you couldn't see past your own assumptions. Now, everything has changed." The holographic displays showed the aftermath of the battle, disabled alien ships being studied by human engineers, new technologies already being developed from the encounter, and Earth's influence spreading rapidly across the solar system. High Chancellor Ven, her bioelectric patterns unusually subdued, spoke first. "How did we miscalculate so severely?" "Because you thought technology alone determines a civilization's advancement," a new voice answered. Dr. Sarah Chen stepped into the chamber, the first human representative to address the Galactic Council. Her presence itself was a sharp reminder of how quickly humanity had claimed its place among the stars. "While you watched us stumble with rocket engines and satellites, we were watching you back," she continued. "Every probe you sent, every ship that accidentally crashed, they were opportunities for us to learn not just about your technology, but about how you think." The chamber erupted in murmurs as Sarah activated her own holographic display, showing humanity's hidden preparations throughout their solar system. "We didn't just copy your technology, we reimagined it. Where you saw limits, we saw possibilities. Where you followed established principles, we asked what if." General Koss, his armored exoskeleton still bearing damage from the battle, shifted uncomfortably. "You turned our own technology against us." "No," Sarah corrected. "We showed you its untapped potential. Did you know that a team of video game designers helped us crack your shield technology? They approached it not as a scientific problem, but as a puzzle to be solved. That's humanity's real strength. We think differently." Ambassador Zixtel stepped forward. "And now they come with an offer that will change the galaxy forever." Sarah nodded, her expression serious. "We're not interested in revenge or domination. What we want is partnership, but on equal terms. We're offering to share our innovations, our fresh perspectives, our way of looking at problems. In return, we ask for full membership in the galactic community and unrestricted access to scientific and cultural exchange." The council chamber buzzed with discussion. The implications were staggering. Humanity's unique approaches to technology had already revolutionized several fields in just the brief conflict. What could they achieve with full access to galactic knowledge? "There's something else you should understand," Sarah added, her voice carrying a note of warning. "We've proven we can defend ourselves, but that's not our goal. Humanity doesn't just want to survive among the stars. We want to thrive, to explore, to discover. We want to see what's possible when different species work together instead of trying to dominate each other." The High Chancellor's bioelectric patterns shifted through complex emotions before settling into a pattern of acceptance. "And if we refuse, then we'll continue advancing on our own," Sarah replied calmly. "But ask yourselves, wouldn't you rather have humanity as partners than potential rivals?" The vote that followed was unprecedented in its unanimity. The species that had come to conquer Earth now welcomed humanity as equals, recognizing that they had discovered something far more valuable than a new territory. They had found a civilization that could help them see the universe in entirely new ways. As the council session ended, Ambassador Zixtal approached Sarah. "You planned this from the beginning, didn't you? The defense of Earth wasn't just about survival. It was your way of proving humanity's worth to the galaxy." Sarah smiled. "We learned from history that first contact between civilizations often leads to the destruction of the less technologically advanced society. We decided to make sure that wouldn't happen to Earth, but we also learned that the greatest achievements come from cooperation, not conflict." She looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's crystal walls. "This is just the beginning. Wait until you see what humanity can do now that we don't have to hide our potential anymore." Across the galaxy, news of Earth's acceptance into the galactic community spread rapidly. But it wasn't fear of their military capabilities that caused excitement. It was the realization that humanity's unique way of thinking, their ability to imagine and innovate, might just be exactly what the galaxy needed to break free from millennia of technological stagnation. A new age was dawning. And for once, it wasn't being written by the most powerful civilization, but by the one that had learned to turn its greatest perceived weakness, its different way of thinking, into its greatest strength.